Ah! Aw, my friends, Scorpion Insurance is a scam every day except one. Don't let that be your last. Buy now at 666-666-666. That's 666-666-666.
Hello everyone, Willith here. So, today I'm going to be judging the Orcs on how useful they are to the Horde as a whole, based entirely upon my own opinion. And I'll be doing this to all the other races and for the Alliance as well. So, another tier list.
Aw, my friend, do you need tier list insurance?
What? No, I don't want your insurance. I didn't even know that was insurable. Just go back from the depths from which you came. Alright, with that out of the way, let's begin. Now, I'm going to mostly gloss over or ignore some of the history of most races, as what I mostly want to judge are their lands, what resources they offer the Horde, or Alliance, their politics to an extent, and what the race as a whole gives to the Horde and the Alliance. However, with that being said, the Orcs are the founding race of the Horde, and as far as I can tell, they are the most numerous of the races within the Horde. Though their population should probably realistically be much lower, given the whole thing about their world dying and going to work just constantly. But we'll just ignore that for now. But because they're a founding race of the Horde and are part of its core history and culture and more, asking how important the Orcs are to the Horde is like asking how important your foundation is for your house. So, naturally, the Orcs will be receiving an extremely high score, given that without the Orcs, there simply is just no Horde. Right, let's dive into each of their lands. Right, first zone, Durotar. Now, I did a whole video on Durotar about realistically living within it. I went in depth with their safety, resources, and more. If you're interested in the details, follow the link in the description. But for a brief summary, Durotar is incredibly hard to invade. It's extremely defensive, and is the capital of the Horde, and it has access to the sea, making it valuable for trade and for shipping. Durotar also provides a good amount of ore, but I think that's really the only resource it really provides. In short, Durotar is integral to the Orcs, and to the Horde as a whole. Now, obviously, because of the extreme lack of food, much of the Orcish population cannot call Durotar home. There is simply just not enough resources for them to do so. So, let's dive into the next zone. Right, Azshara. Now, this zone has a lot of goblins, but it looks like the Orcs allowed the goblins to have a home here, but not to govern the whole of it. So I feel the vast majority of it is governed and owned by the Orcs, and mostly goblins and Orcs call the zone home. As for resources, the Horde mostly mines stone and granite from the region. Also, I'm no expert, but I think this zone would also produce a great deal of lumber for the Horde, so I'm a little confused as to why they desperately need lumber from Ashenvale, and have sacrificed so much in order to get it. Perhaps it's just high quality lumber? That's the only real reason as to why I feel they need the zone. Anyway, the final resource I feel Azshara would provide to the Horde are crops. Out of all the lands the Orcs control, Azshara is the most fertile out of the bunch, and would be the best suited to help them grow crops. Does that mean it's ideal for growing crops? Not likely, but it seems vastly more fertile than the other zones that the Orcs possess. So, all these resources that it does provide would be quite valuable, not only for the Orcs, but to the Horde, given that the capital is so close and would just be funneled to it. Alright, the Northern Barrens. Now, as far as I can tell, the Barrens are pretty much Tauren lands. It's full of their architecture and ruins, and from what I can gather, the Tauren people have resided within these regions for centuries. However, with the Orcs saving them from extinction and helping them out to a large degree in regaining their lands, and their cultures now just being so heavily intertwined, I feel that the Tauren would have given the Northern Barrens to the Orcs, and my evidence for this as well is the fact that you can find many Orc settlements and farms throughout the region. Like, The Orcs seem to have a much higher presence than the Tauren do here. And to me it makes sense that the Orcs would be living here, given the fact that they need as much land as possible to support their large population. As far as I can tell, the Orcs seem to be using the Barrens for farming and for oil, and the Barrens might offer some ore that can be found. However, the Barrens do seem to be rich in animal life, and therefore a great source of meat and leather and hide. It would also be a great place for raising livestock and herds of pigs and other animals. Now, what the Barrens lack in resources, it makes up for in its strategic location. It gives the Horde access to a good harbor, connects them to the Tauren people, and acts as a buffer for the Horde should they lose their land in Ashenvale. It's also just a land that connects to many other regions that the Horde controls, making it a great trading route and highway for the Horde. Alright, next up, Eastern Ashenvale. The Horde has sacrificed much to take a portion of Ashenvale, and the reason being is because, man, they need that lumber. In my opinion, I can see Ashenvale's trees being of high quality, making their sacrifices of obtaining this land more worth it. While this land is clearly the home of the elves, with the peace of the Alliance and the Horde, I can't see the Horde handing over the land they've obtained. Either the battle lines will have been frozen, or some sort of treaty made to finalize the borders. Either way, I feel that the Horde will have the land up to this river, so as to have a clear and strategic border with the elves. Finally, I believe the Orcs would own this land, as no other race would have a claim to it. And it borders the Northern Barrens, which belongs to the Orcs, so it makes sense that they would just move in and claim the land for their own, and use it to supply quality lumber to the rest of the Horde. And finally, Duskwallow Marsh. Now, hear me out. After Garrosh just blew up the Arbor with a freaking nuke, and the Horde rid the Alliance in the zone, I think naturally the Orcs would have claimed the region for their own. As again, they need as much land as possible for their population, and no other race of the Horde, again, has a claim to this territory. The Horde is essentially an empire, and once, you get rid of your enemy, first rule of an empire is any easily obtainable land, you just take. So, I don't see them ridding this land of the Alliance, only to just leave it. No. They're gonna move in and take the land, and if no other race can just occupy it, and if no other race has a claim to it, the Orcs are naturally going to take it. Other than just living within the land, what resources could this, swamp provide? Well, it could be great for producing rice, fish, more timber, and medicinal herbs, and just other herbs in general.
Fucking Gorash just kicked us out of our homes to live in some ugly swamp. Ah, friends, you're looking for real estate, are you? What are you offering, goblin? Well, see here, you've got fresh air, rough and tough neighbors, all the crocodile steak you can eat. It's a bargain. Right here in your humble abode, half off price because I like you so much, and that grin of yours.
So overall, the Orcs have a huge amount of territory and provide much needed and extremely strategic lands and useful resources to the Horde as a whole. So I give them a 10 out of 10. As the most numerous race of the Horde, they can be found doing a variety of activities and jobs for the Horde. Furthermore, the Orcs, similar to humans, are quite flexible in what they can do and provide. While Orcs make great foot soldiers and are more useful in that regard, given their bloodlust and strength, they can also be accomplished rogues, spies, trackers, and scouts. They also have a strong connection to the elements and make for good spiritual leaders, at least once they get up in years. They also make for great tacticians in warfare, given that many Orcs have seen much war in their lives and are quite experienced. Finally, they make great laborers, given that they are stronger than many races, and especially humans. They are just far more capable and efficient at mining, harvesting lumber, and at just doing more tasks and jobs. Orcs are a very strong and hardy people, which just helps them in all these activities. However, one downside of the Orcs is that they're not given much to the role of magic users. Not that there aren't any Orcs that use magic like the Arcane or Warlocks. But generally speaking, because of their high honor morals of living, and the worship of honoring their ancestors and militaristic culture, and the benefits of their strength, orc magic users are just few and far between. Another downside to the orcs, especially in younger orcs, is that they can be very hot-headed, full of bloodlust, and or just be very brash in their actions. All these traits can make the orcs prone to infighting, though to how common this may be, I'm not entirely sure, but I feel it would be a sizable chunk of their population. But overall, they are quite flexible in what they offer to the Horde as a whole, so I give them a 9 out of 10. As a refresher as to how the Horde now works, they have a simple council system. Each race gets a single representative on the council, and each member of the council gets one vote in the decisions of the Horde. The Orcs would be a formidable force on the council. One would not want to anger them as a faction, as they could easily just deny you a ton of resources and manpower. Furthermore, their vote would carry a great deal of weight, to the point to where most other council members might actually just follow their lead. Finally, the Orcs are highly respected and well liked by most races of the Horde, giving them an even further advantage with their vote and persuasion upon the council. So I give them a 10 out of 10 on the political side of things within the Horde. This gives them a score of 29 out of 30, placing them very high in A tier, just on the cusp of S tier. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, see ya!